Good morning, friends. It's Diane here at Together on the Porch. If our natural state is joy, how come so many people choose otherwise? I'm on a little bit early today, and I was thinking about joy and how come people choose other things. So, good morning. It's a beautiful day. Together on the porch. Drinking out of your mug today? Yeah, I am. I like this mug. It's got a good shape and a good size of handle. I don't know, it just kind of fits. So today is a day where I still have a little bit of a upset after yesterday and Kevin Cash's big mistake. But you know what? Joy is still my natural state. And joy is our natural state. Now, a state is different than a feeling or an emotion. And a lot of people think they're the same. I know that joy is our natural state, meaning joy is who you are at your essence. Like if I looked at your essence, it's beautiful energy of joy. Now, joy is like the thermostat in the room where we set it to joy. So you can set it to grief or pain or anger or anxiety or whatever. The temperature of the room, the actual temperature of the room, is more of your emotional state. So it's either not the same. The emotional place you're in and your actual inner state are different. And you've done it before where you set your thermostat in your house for a certain temperature, and for whatever reason the heat or the air conditioner does not respond properly, where I know I have this set cooler, how come my air conditioner isn't working? In Florida we would say that often. We notice right away if the humidity gets too high in our house or the temperature gets too high. So joy is your natural state. That's natural setting. Now you can change the setting, but why would you want to? That's my question. And when the actual air temperature moves on any side of that joy, that's the emotion. So you can have the state of joy and a feeling of fear or a feeling of love or a feeling of grief or a feeling of whatever, and still maintain joy as your natural state and not have mental illness. Everyone, just about I know, until they really start discerning, thinks that they're the same, that emotions and states are the same. That's not the case. So if joy is your natural state, I ask you, how come you and other people choose differently? How come you go to your thermostat and you set it on grief, or you set it on anger, or you set it on self-pity? How come? What's the payoff in that? Because what we know about humans is humans only do what we get a payoff for. That's right. We only do what we get a payoff for. So if we're doing something and we're not getting a reinforcement or a payoff, we don't do it anymore. So if you're doing something over a period of time and you're trying to convince yourself or someone else, well, I don't want to feel this way anymore, but yet you're continuing to do it and you're not resetting the thermostat, then you are getting a payoff. Whether you want to admit it or not, you're getting a payoff, because that's the way our human neurology and biology and system operate. We only repeatedly do what we get a payoff for. And joy is our natural state. So anything other than that is an altered state. And that means that you went in and screwed up with the setting, the natural setting. So you and only you are able to go back in and shift the setting to where it's supposed to be. Nobody else can do that for you. All anybody else can do is remind you to do it and encourage you to do it and support you in doing it, but still you have to be the one to do it, because people choose all the time otherwise. So when I see people choosing anger or grief or avarice or sadness or whatever for a long period of time, and they change their state to that, then we get in trouble, because now everything reinforces it. Because we have parts of our brain and our vagus nerve as well, that the reticular activating system is specifically the part of the brain, for those of you who don't want to look it up, that seeks in the environment the thing that you're setting your state to. So if I walk around setting my state to sadness, say, then my reticular activating system and my vagus nerve will begin to send the nervous system energy and chemicals and electricity that match that sadness setting. And then my reticular activating system will seek the world and find what aligns with that sadness and hook onto that, even if there's a gazillion other choices, because I am the one who set the thermostat. So most people in this country erroneously want something outside of themselves to move the thermostat. Not possible. The only way for it to get put back to factory settings, so to speak, or to have your reticular activating system and your vagus nerve and your whole being live properly, is to set to joy, which is your natural state. So that's where the most flow is. That's where the most ease and grace and flow is in joy. Now that doesn't mean we're happy all the time, because our emotions are different than our states. And it doesn't mean that it's, woo-woo either. It's scientific and it's calculated. And so I'm always joyful, even when I'm in pain and I can't walk, or even when I'm really upset about something like last night's decision by Goofball Cash. It really upset me, but I'm powerless over it, and it is what it is. I think he probably had money on the Dodgers, quite frankly, but whatever. But I'm not going to let that change my state. I'm not going to let the emotion of temporary disappointment change my state, because within the disappointment is a bunch of beauty. And if I hold on to the disappointment, that's all I see, because my reticular activating system will only look for disappointment. But if I hold on to joy, then my reticular activating system and my vagus nerve will feed me all the information of joy, like all the records that were set, and just the glory of it all. And I get to have that cool experience of even watching the whole thing to start with, right? The technology that made it so we could watch a game that we're not even at. Really, it's kind of fun, right? So I'm the one in charge of how it runs, not anyone else. And I can have different emotions. I have lots of emotions. Our emotions go on a sine wave all the time. They're always moving. And my state's always the same. The thermostat's always set the same. So where is your thermostat set? Is it set on joy? Is it set on its authentic, real, natural setting? You were born with it set on joy. When did you change it? Now the good news is you can change it back. Or maybe it is on joy right now. Maybe. But go within and ask yourself, where is it set? What am I seeking in the environment? What is it that I notice first? If I notice the pessimistic kind of heavy stuff first, it's not set on joy. If I notice what's wrong with all these situations around me first, not set on joy yet. Now there's lots of settings, and no setting is wrong, but realize that in any setting you shift away from your natural state hinders your happiness and your success. Now some people get a huge secondary gain and a huge payoff for being the victim or the martyr, or being depressed or being anxious or hurting or whatever that all is, and they change their state to that. So what I'm saying is we need to discern and begin to learn that there's that it's different. Joy and happiness is different. So you can have joy as your state and be sad or upset or happy or even joyful. It doesn't matter. You can have both, because it's how it works. It's not just one thing, it's two things always. So how are you set? If joy is your natural state, are you living in joy? Can you feel the joy? Do you even know where your thermostat is? Right? Do you know what it's set on? Or are you just blindly running around, responding moment to moment to the crazy sine wave of emotion and wondering why you don't know which way up is some days? Because state control is where highly successful people master things, successful in any area of their life. It's state control that makes the difference. Like, it's state control when I walked on hot coals in my bare feet twice. State control. Didn't burn them. In fact, they were cold after hot coals. State control. State control when I maintain my joy setting in the face of adversity. That's state control, right? And we all have a choice of how we approach things. And so we're the ones who set up the energy of the day. We're the ones who set it up. So maybe your setting is somewhere other than joy because you bought into the delusion that that's not natural. You know, like, one of my favorite things I used to love to do when I used to go to restaurants a lot, way back, in the old days, like last year, one of the things I love to do is when somebody asks me how I'm doing, especially a server, I go, I'm great. It's the best day of my life. And they look at me like shocked. Why? Why? Because they're so used to the whining and complaining and and they just look at me like, oh, what? I go, no, I'm great. This is the best day of my life. I love it. It doesn't really matter what's going on around me. It matters how I'm aligned inside. And then usually after they get over the shock and they smile a lot, they're happy to do whatever it is, whatever. They become this like really amazing server because they want to be around somebody who's joyful and happy. Same thing at the cryogenic place. Like, they open the door for me when I'm coming in now. Because you're supposed to go every day for a week. So I'm going every day for a week, right? So like by the 4th day, they're holding the door open for me and smiling and laughing and wanting to know how my day is. Because joy is my natural state. And it's infectious, and people want more joy in their life. And when they touch that energy of joy radiating off me, they want to be in that. And so just by our presence in a room, we change things. So if we walk into a room all heavy and pessimistic and negative and goofy, then that's what we put out, and that's what we get. And that's what it feels like. And pretty soon people are wondering why they feel all heavy after you leave. Well, it's because you're the one who did it. Or you could walk into the room with joy in your heart because that's your natural state. And then have a totally different experience. It's up to you. So that's what I've been thinking about today is what my natural state is. And making sure that my thermostat is set there. And that even when the temperature varies 2 or 3 degrees off, gets a little bit too warm, like anger, upset, anxiety, gets a little too cold, that'd be shame, grief, guilt, sadness, then I know that all I have to do is allow the temperature in the room, let the thermostat kick on, let the joy state kick on, and adjust the temperature accordingly. That's all. But all of the rest of it is stuff we wrap around it, doing everything we can to let the outside world or believe that the outside world is in charge. The outside world is not in charge. It's just simply not. So, what are we doing? And today, as I was thinking about joy, and I was walking Maggie, and I had to stop and rest for a second, and I'm just standing there, just feeling the breeze on my face. I turned so I was facing the breeze, and I look up, and there was this beautiful adult hawk with a baby hawk. And they're just sitting there in this tree right in front of me. And I love hawks, and hawks are on my totem, so I have great respect for them. And I just stood there petting my dog, looking at the hawk, feeling the breeze, and allowing joy to course through all of my being. It didn't matter that I was in so much pain I could hardly take the next step. It didn't matter that I have a lot of stuff on my mind and things to do today. None of that mattered. All that mattered in that moment was that connection to the joy of all of nature, of the breeze, of the sky, of the sun, of my dog, of the earth, of that beautiful hawk, reminding me to take a hawk's eye view. That's what hawks are about getting out and looking it down to see the bigger picture, look at things from the bigger angle, right? So what a powerful moment. So without joy as my natural state, I would have missed that moment, because I would have been too busy focused on, the people yelling over there, and the lawn people over there, and the this over there, and the blah, 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 whatever else. Oh, and the red ants. Don't forget the red ants that keep trying to bite your feet in a certain area, right? And all of that could have been a mess, but it wasn't a mess. Why wasn't it a mess? Because joy is my natural state. And my thermostat is set there. So people go, how come you're so optimistic? How come you're so happy? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, because joy is my natural state. And I go through the same trials and tribulations, and in some areas much greater than most people even have any idea about. And the only thing that keeps me going is joy is my natural state sometimes. Because your reticular activating system will seek out whatever you ask it to seek out. You are the one in charge of the outcome. You are the one in charge of what you see. You are the one that's in charge of how you ride the waves, the beautiful sine waves of your life and your emotion and your experience. You are the one. No one else. And so when we get caught in that trance, that the answer's outside of us, we become slaves. We become slaves. So I say that we, Porcher people here, set ourselves free, actually do something about this instead of thinking about it, because thinking about it doesn't work. Got to actually move the thermostat. Yeah. It doesn't work. It takes making a decision. It takes making a decision. I'm done feeling sorry for myself. I'm moving to joy. And in fact, if you have to tape the thing there, whatever you have to do, and this thermostat is staying on joy, I really don't care what you want to do the rest of the body. Figure it out. And here's what will happen. You set that temperature to joy, which would be like, what, 72, 74 degrees, right? Set it there and refuse to move it. Guess what happens pretty soon? The extra humidity and heaviness leaves. Yeah, because it can't stay in when it's set on joy. Sadness cannot remain forever if you're set on joy. It's not possible. The thermostat always is regulating the air temperature. So, that old phrase, this too shall pass, which I don't like that phrase because people use it in a trite manner. But all of our emotions, all of our experience on a sine wave. So we learn how to surf or we drown. I prefer surfing. I prefer surfing with a lot of breeze downwind in a sailboat with all the sails up. That's what I really like. That's my adrenaline junkie rush there. So that's what I've been thinking about. So if joy was your natural state, how come so many people choose otherwise? I'm a little bit curious about that. If you have any thoughts about how come you think people choose otherwise, something other than joy, I'd love to hear them, because I don't really, I understand it on some level maybe, but I really don't get it totally, because joy is your natural state. Why would you want to live in an altered state all the time? People think people who do drugs and drink alcohol and gamble and smoke cigarettes and do all that stuff and overeat and undereat, that they're altering their mood. Maybe they're trying to seek the joy. Maybe on some level they know that the joy is their natural state, and they got so far off kilter they're doing whatever they have to do in a desperate manner to try to find joy, because nobody said, the thermostat's right there on the living room wall, just go over there and move it. And so they look outside of themselves because that's what they were taught how to do, and they find a thing or a substance, and then they start killing themselves with it, trying to move a thermostat out in the front yard when it's inside the house on the wall. So I think that people who do desperate measures are seeking joy, trying to get back to their natural state, even if they don't really understand that that's the process. And they're not getting back to their natural state because they're looking outside of themselves. That's not where the answer is. No. Anyway, I hope something I said makes sense. And I want to remind us all to pick joy. I choose joy. I say that all the time. I choose joy. Choosing joy. I'm choosing joy even though I've been, I'm going to use the word attacked. I don't know, that's a strong word. Even though people have been saying all kinds of weird stuff to me in social media lately, because sometimes I take a different stand and I test out the water, and yep, sure enough, here it comes, all the unenlightened projection. So remember that everything you say about another person, you're telling on yourself, right? Everything someone says is about themselves. Everything that comes out of your mouth is about you. It is not about whatever it is you're talking about. So, what are you doing? I'm really excited because the ILS people who did SSP, who created SSP, now have 2 other things that go with it. A warm up to it for people who are really, really struggling really bad, like, flashback type PTSD, and a connect part that's a 5 days to keep it going, so that if the anxiety or the problems start coming back, somebody can do these other 5 days, and it helps like extend the benefit of the system. So they're really creating things to help people with their nervous systems in a far greater way than before, when it was only one system. Now there's 6 different options for the whole thing, from really difficult, like there's even a setting now I can do with somebody who doesn't like headphones on because they're just too sensitive, or it's too hard, and to get them used to the headphones a little bit so that they can do the next thing. So they've really stepped up their game to help humanity. So that made me really happy. So I'm excited by that. I'm excited that people can let their nervous system feel safe again. And when the nervous system feels safe again, then that joy setting is easier to click into space. Because if the system's been not feeling safe for a really long time, then it really takes a neurological reset to get the thermostat to move. We can't move it with our head. We have to move it with our neurology. So I'm really glad that I have that they've created that technology, and I've decided to offer it to people because it's really changing lives. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And now I have like a couple people who've already done SSP, doing the second Connect version to help keep it going, and it's working really well. So that's really good too. It's all good, because joy is my natural state, and so I look for the good. So today, look for the good. Today, go in there and go to the living room wall and take that thermostat and say you're setting on joy, and that's just the way it is. All the rest of y'all temperatures in the room, we're going to joy. Cranking on the joy thermometer. Here we go. And then stay focused on it. Because remember, your reticular activating system will show you in the world everything that you are looking for. So if I say I'm looking for the world's coming to an end on Tuesday, then I will start seeing everything that supports that. If I say, man, joy is my natural state, I can't wait to see what kind of cool house I pick to live in and what neat space I get to create, then that's what I'll find. It's that simple. You have to put the thermostat. Now, and here's the other thing, and then I'm going to be done because I got a client. There's no working toward it. There is no thinking about it, pontificating over it, or trying. Not all of that is mental masturbation that is designed to keep you sick. If you want joy to be back to your natural state, you go in and you flip the switch and make the decision, and there is no walking down the road or trying or getting closer or all of that. That's all baloney, bunk, BS. That has been instilled in people over generations and generations to keep them down. Because if I can keep you believing that you have to keep working for it, then you will work to the bone and never reach it, because that's not the answer. The answer is flip the damn switch. Simple. It's very simple. So simple it eludes people. So when people say to me, well, I'm working toward it, Diane, what that means is, I'm still giving everybody outside of me power. I'm refusing to take any responsibility whatsoever for the outcome, and I'm just going to be working toward it. That's how come the rich people are really rich, because they taught a lot of people you have to work hard for your money. You have to work hard to make it in this world. You have to push. It has to be so difficult. It's not true. So all those people who are working really hard to listen to the rich people got the rich people richer, because it's not true. The truth is you set the state, and then ease and grace happen, and then all of it comes right down the pike. But if I can get you to believe that you can never quite get there from here, and you always have to work, and you always have to strive, and there's always the next step, it has to happen that way, and I can get you to believe that lie, I control you. Because you will drive yourself into the ground working towards something that simply you just have to lift up and flip a switch for. You have to come out of the trance of the lie, or die. I said that to one of my very good friends last night, or 2 nights ago. I said, you have to come out of the trance or you're going to be dead. And then you not answering your spiritual calling is part of the extinction of humanity. So think about that for just a minute. Which way you want to do it. Yeah. So today I have an SSP session with somebody who's having a very profound experience. I have a couple calls with some people. I have a really cool family session to do later with a really fun family. And what else? So I'm going to go get cryo today and some other stuff. I don't know. Oh, and I have to, I'm working on this project, so I'm going to do some creative stuff. Yeah. I know my email newsletter goes out today, and that's really good. And Karina's podcast interview is live now, and she's, oh my God, she is amazing. And I just love her ideas, and you will love it too. So there you have it. All of my thoughts for today, and more than I thought I had. I know. I love it when I open the door and see what comes through. So I hope something I said today you take action on. Hearing what I say and not taking action is insulting me. So when I see people say they hear me and they do nothing, that's a big insult to me and to you. So just realize that. If you hear what I say and you love what I say and you do not take action on it, then what you're doing is you're slapping me in the face. And that's the same for all situations. If you say you care about somebody, or you respect somebody, or you want to learn from somebody, or whatever it is, you want to be inspired by them, and then you don't do something with it, your concrete, specific action with it, then basically what you're doing is slapping them across the face in a very insulting manner. So part of it comes down to our own inner integrity, right? And in general. Anyway, go in there and change the thermostat back to joy if it's not on joy. Okay? That's the rules. So today I'm going to go and spread some joy with some people and enjoy my life and be grateful that I'm in Florida and it's not snowing here, and that I don't live in Louisiana where they're going to get yet one more hurricane. My mother said, never live where the water has no place to go. It's been my theme for the whole summer, it looks like. Anyway, so from my heart to your heart, I love you. You're beautiful, you're lovable, and you are quite capable. So stop the lies and let's step up. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock right here on my porch.